Good morning, YouTube. So in this video I wanted to talk about why I decided to bypass these ballasts in my old fluorescent shop light fixtures. To do that, I used the Type B LED tubes, and the Type B tubes are designed to operate without one of these magnetic ballasts in there. As you can see there, it says Rapid Start Shop Light Ballast. So these are pretty old, but that says L86. So I think these ballasts were probably manufactured in 1986. So I think I installed these in the garage probably about that time. I think I purchased 5 of these fixtures at the local hardware store and then hung them up in the garage, and that later became my shop. These things have run for 30 years almost. I did have a few of these that I've replaced over the years. This one is still okay, but some of the ones you could probably see in some of the earlier videos, the label here was badly discolored and these things were starting to run hot. And I think this one or the one next to it was starting to buzz pretty bad. These things, you know, they do have a lifetime and you can replace them. This is $20 to $30 for a new ballast, and you can get either the magnetic type or the electronic type. For the same money, you can just get rid of this and put in the LED tubes and not have any of this additional wiring hooked up, and I showed you that in the previous video. But there's another reason besides the maintenance and cost aspect. These things use power. They are not free. Now with fluorescent tubes, you need to have a ballast in there to get the light to start and then limit the current to protect it from being overdriven. And that's why you have this ballast and you have all these extra wires. And what I have is I've got my quick test here, and I'm going to hook up the white wire and the black wire to power. We've got the wires hooked up, so we got power there. So here's the power meter here, and right now we're at 119 volts, and I'm going to close the quick test. Now that ballast is connected, it's not running anything, it's just connected to power using 5 watts, 180 milliamps, and this is a really low power factor. I think it works out to 0.22, and that ballast will get fairly hot. Like I say, that's no load. And I found this page on naturallighting.com, and they talk about power consumption in ballasts. And right down here, energy efficient magnetic ballasts. Now I think mine is right before that. They said since 1988 they came up with a slightly higher efficient ballast. But down there in the yellow you can see they consume 8 to 10 watts when operating with the lamp in the circuit, and ballast will consume about 4 watts when the lamps are removed, although the ballast is still energized. So mine is probably at least 10 watts when they're plugged in. So that doesn't sound like much, but figure these lights are in my shop. So if you figure 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours times 10. That's 20 kilowatt hours, and that's about $3 worth of electricity per year. I had to cut 6 wires to bypass this ballast or take it out of the system, and that saves me $3 a year. And then I've got 5 of these lights. That's $15, and it's been almost 5 years. So that's like $75 that's been saved over the time since I bypassed these ballasts. There are LED tubes that you can use without bypassing the ballast. They call them direct fit or Type A tubes. And then there's supposedly a Type D, as in dog, tube that'll work with or without a ballast in the system. And they cost the same. You might look at that and say, oh, I can just swap out the 2 tubes and I'm done. Yeah, but every year you're burning up $3 of electricity in this hunk of metal here, and it's not doing anything. It's just producing heat. Cut those 4 wires there, those 2 wires there, and you save $3 a year, and then you never have to replace this. In my experience, I think I replaced a couple of these over roughly 30 years, and I would probably be replacing the ones I didn't replace previously. I would probably have to be replacing pretty soon, because like I say, one of these was starting to buzz. One of the other ones was very badly discolored, so it was overheating. Now, if you have the later model electronic ballast, it's probably not quite so bad, but why not get rid of this? Because at some point it's going to fail and you're going to have to get up there and take it out anyway. So you might as well take it out now and save $3 a year than wait until it fails. And if I were to plug the two tubes in here, this would say 36 watts and I'd be getting so much light. If I left this thing connected, I'd be using 46 watts and I'd have the same amount of light. So if you had a choice of lighting your room for 36 watts or 46 watts and it didn't cost anything, I would get rid of this. Why even have it in your system? Just cut the wires and take it out. So like with my shop lights before, usually every year I was replacing a tube or two or a ballast. I was doing something. Every year I had to get out the ladder and climb up and pull out a bulb and change it, or change two bulbs, whatever the case was. Since changing those lights to LEDs, 5 years, and the first time I touched those lamps since I replaced them was when I did the previous video. So for 5 years I've not had to do anything. I haven't had to touch those lights. So that's a really big savings. You know, that's 5 times up the ladder that I didn't have to do. And you know, number one, risking potential injury if you were to fall off the ladder, and I haven't had to have a box of spare tubes over on the side of the shop. I haven't had to have my extra ballast on hand in case I need to change one out. So that's been just a really big benefit that you don't realize. Getting rid of this ballast just helps simplify the system. Now the lights are just a metal box with 2 4-foot tubes plugged in. Now that I've done the conversion, I just have to replace tubes as they burn out. And so far it's been nearly 5 years. I think I converted them January 2015. Not a single tube failure, and I haven't had a ballast fail because there's no longer any ballast in the system. So anyway, that's my thoughts on why it's a good idea to bypass these ballasts. It's a little more work, but you're going to save roughly $3 a year, you know, if these are lights that are on like 40 hours a week. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, post up in the comment section down below, and I'll put links to the other videos over here on the left hand side. And as always, thanks for watching.